Hello, good afternoon, and welcome everyone to the Educational Results Partnership California Honor Roll Schools webinar. My name is Alex Barrios. I am our moderator today and also the president of Educational Results Partnership. In a moment, I will invite my colleagues to share more information with you about our organization and the Honor Roll program. But first, I want to extend my congratulations to all the schools that have earned a place on the 2023 Honor Roll list that we released last May. Your dedication, hard work, and commitment to student excellence is truly inspiring, and it's a privilege to recognize you through this program. Becoming an honor roll school means that you have surpassed a very high bar. Only 17% of schools in the state have made the honor roll this past round. So if you are one of the schools, we want to hear from you. We want to learn from you. But today is not just about the schools that are already on the honor roll. It's also for those schools that are working hard to achieve honor roll status. We want to tell you that we see you and we recognize you as well. We know that you are working tirelessly also to improve, and we want to support you on that journey. And that is the purpose of today's webinar. The goal of the honor roll is really to create collegial relationships among schools to advance a common goal of ensuring every student is prepared with the knowledge that they need to be successful in life. Your participation shows a commitment to student growth and excellence, and we are very excited to collaborate with you, learn together, and to help each other improve. So again, I want to welcome you for joining us, and I want to hopefully have a very productive session today. Next slide, please. So today our panel is going to cover the following agenda items. First, we're going to share more about the history and the purpose of the Honor Roll program and some background about our organization in that work. Then we will share how we use data to identify Honor Roll schools. And we will share a link today with the newly published Honor Roll dashboard. And we will provide you with a tutorial on how to navigate this dashboard and use it to improve student performance. And then finally, we will close by sharing ways that you can engage with us moving forward to improve student academic achievement, prepare all students with the skills they need to be successful in life. So we definitely want to start engaging with you right away. If we can go to slide number 4, we do understand you may have questions throughout the webinar. Please feel free to ask those questions as they come to mind. We're not going to wait till the end to answer questions. We'll do our best to answer your questions as you submit them. But if for any reason we can't get to your question today, please know that within a week, we will respond to all questions and send those out via email. Next slide, please. Okay, so at this point, we want to hear some feedback from the audience. We're going to do an interactive activity. So get ready. We want to know specifically what you're most interested in learning about today. So you have one option. You may want to choose all of these options, but we want to know if your priority today is to learn how to use the dashboard, whether it's to learn how honor roll schools are selected, or whether it's to connect with school leaders for the purpose of replicating best practices for improving student performance. Or if it's all of the above, if all of those are a priority for you, please let us know. Well, we definitely want to hear your feedback before we start the webinar so we can tailor our remarks and our comments to the areas where there's the most interest to engage. So give ourselves a few more seconds to take this poll. And let's go ahead and get those final votes in. And then let's go ahead and close the poll and see the results. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so it looks like the topic that we're most interested in today is how honor roll schools are selected. Appreciate that. We will definitely go over that today in a future slide, and we'll dig in a little further on some of the changes that are coming in 2024 when we release the next honor roll. I also see that there's some interest in how to use the dashboard. We will definitely be delving into that today. And it looks like about a quarter of you are interested in all the above. So we'll go ahead and make sure that we touch on all those topics. Thank you. We'll go ahead and close out the poll. Move on to the next slide here. So I'm going to start introducing today's presenters. You're going to hear from the Educational Results Partnership team. These are my colleagues. And the first one I want to introduce you to is Kashae Knox, who's our Director of Outreach and Engagement. And Kashae is going to provide us with a tutorial on how to navigate the honor roll dashboards. And I also want to introduce you to our Chief Technology Officer, Jacob McCarthy. And he's going to, he's the one who works directly with the data and will be sharing how you can do a deep dive of these data if you're interested in finding out how your school compares with similar schools in the state. But before we get into the dashboards and the data, I want to introduce our first speaker. He is Dr. Jim Lanich. He is ERP's founder and chief executive officer. Dr. Lanich is an expert in curriculum and instruction, and for over 35 years, he served as a national leader on the use of data to drive school improvement. Dr. Lanich will provide some background and history on the purpose of the honor roll and its creation. Dr. Lanich, thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the webinar.
Great, thank you, Alex. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. It's an honor to be here with you today, and I look forward to our visit together as we move along this journey. I started as a school teacher in South Central Los Angeles for many years, and I began to develop a very deep understanding very quickly about what the kids needed, what the students needed, what was being provided for them. And I found out quickly, just like is no secret to all of you, is that one of the most important thing was the collegial relationships I had with my other teachers and the teachers on my grade level and in the vertical teams associated with, I was a science teacher, but associated with learning science and math. So we're going to, today, this is all about reading, writing, and mathematics achievement. So the work for the honor roll is solely focused on student academic achievement. And I think that the collaborative nature of this convening and of the honor roll at large is the secret sauce. It's the most important aspect of scaling what works in schools. This is not a top-down thing. This is a sideways thing. This is a peer-to-peer interaction. And when I find a teacher with kids that look just like mine, who is doing better than me with those kids, I want to know who they are, what they're doing, and how do I replicate those practices. So that's why we started the nonprofit work of Educational Results partnership. Is very straightforward but ambitious, and that was to replicate what's working as opposed to fixing anything or repairing anything. We believe that schools are working. Some are doing well with kids and students that are historically disenfranchised. Others are struggling. But it's independent of resources, and it's a focus. We call it the hard work model. It's focused on instruction, and that's what you all are accomplishing. You're not there yet. No one is there yet. We all get that, but you all, as the largest group, are improving over time, and that you are showing evidence of closing achievement gaps, and you are doing very well in reading, writing, and math compared to others. So this is a metric where all boats can float, and everyone can get to grade level and beyond in the core content areas. But how do we get at replicating success if we don't know where it is? And so that's where pinpointing the success with a very large number of schools is super important. So our mission is to improve student academic achievement and get kids ready for the workforce and experience economic mobility using their learning. The creation of the honor roll started over 10 years ago, and again, the business community, they use words like return on investment, total quality management, results, et cetera. And so that's what you all are doing, and that's their acumen. So let's get all the top how can I say this? Let's not worry so much about the top-down mandates. This is not a compliance mechanism whatsoever. This is about scaling what's working for students, what's getting them to the end goal of economic mobility and having the tools with which to have a nice life. So it's been a secret mostly about who's getting this done. It's not a political agenda. It's not a resource dependent agenda. It's not a zip code agenda. It has nothing to do with that. These students are like any other students. And again, there are students who are more challenged than the ones that you have and who are achieving at a greater rate. We want to know who those are, where those are, and how do we connect with them. Today, we have 1,430 schools in California, which have earned this distinction. Alex said, it's 17%. These are not outliers. These are not, I get accused of that all the time. ERP is working with outliers. No, we're not. There's a whole bunch of schools succeeding out there. They're not one-offs, and they're not break the mold. They're not anomalies. They're not statistical noise. These are real words that I hear from folks. ERP plays with statistical noise. That's nonsense. Because we're talking about real kids in real seats, learning real things, and teachers who are connected with them, getting the job done with today's resources. And the business community ultimately are the employers of 100% of our students. And so they are at the table and they have something to say about this. And this is how they want to make their contribution, is by replicating success. So our goal is to create a culture where excellence is celebrated and shared, helping all schools reach their full potential. Culture is an important thing. And so honor roll schools are not they have more high performing grade levels than anybody else. Most schools have a high performing grade level or 2 or 3, but honor roll schools have more. So something's happening as a culture in that school among the grade level and between the grade levels. And so it's a leadership thing. The principal is historically and classically the instructional leader. And so our goal is to identify that, celebrate that, identify it, and replicate whatever it is they're doing. So in that spirit, I thank you all for joining this webinar today. And we hope this is only the start, and we hope the information you find helpful. And I look forward to continuing to work together to organize ourselves, to exploit our practices, your practices, and to connect those with others who need them in a very organized way, but peer-to-peer in a collegial environment, because we believe that's what works. And so with that, let's keep building on this momentum and creating a brighter future for all of our students. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity to visit.
Thank you, Dr. Lanich. Appreciate that. One of the things that you pointed out that I think is so powerful in your remarks here is that not only have you worked directly with students in the classroom, but you've also worked at the highest levels of education administration. So your perspective about the power of collegial exchange for the sake of advancing student improvement is very powerful. And we're going to take the rest of our time today during this webinar to describe the tools that we have created in the forum for promoting this collegial exchange of information among schools in the state. But first, I'm going to go ahead and quickly go over how we select honor roll schools. I know that according to the feedback we received at the beginning of this webinar, is a topic that most of you are interested in. So we will focus on that at this point and tell a little bit more about our methodology. And we will put the methodology document in the chat. And I will also go over some of the tweaks that we've made to the methodology when we release the next honor roll. But on this slide, we summarize in very simple terms the 4 major steps of how we identify honor roll schools. The first thing is what we do is create peer groups based on school type and grade level served. This gets to Dr. Lanich's points about students who you're working with who are finding schools that are serving students who look just like your students, right? So are the schools similar in terms of demographics and socioeconomic status? Then we further split these groups in the second step by socioeconomic status. So we look at high poverty and low poverty schools. And then the third step in this process is then comparing the outcomes on the English language arts and math results on the CASP tests across every peer group and for all student groups served. And then the fourth and final step is that we look at how you are doing in comparison to other schools in your peer group. And so we establish a trend line of your peers, and you must perform at least 80% of the time above your above the trend line for your peer group on all metrics, which includes not only the scores for English language, math, and arts, but for if you're serving Latino students, African American students, white, Asian students, Native American, foster youth, all of those student groups, you must be performing above 80% on the trend line in order to make the honor roll. So the idea here is that all students are being served, and that there are equity gaps are not, they're not these wide equity gaps. So that is a summary of our methodology that we use. I do want to make a mention here that in the 2023 honor roll that we released in May, the methodology was slightly different than what we had done in years past. That was due to the lack of regular standardized testing in 2020 and 2021 during the COVID-19 pandemic. 2020, of course, there was no testing. 2021, there was voluntary testing with very few or very little participation. And so what we did to accommodate for that that lack of data was we took your 3 highest scores between 2019 and 2023 when calculated in the honor roll. For 2024, what we will be doing is going back to looking at your performance over 3 consecutive years, now that we have 3 consecutive years of data to work with. So please keep that in mind. There will be some changes to the honor roll list as a result of that change in the methodology. And we just want you to be aware of that. So going to the next slide here, I think that's a good segue for when is the next honor roll going to be released? And I know that this is probably one of the things that everybody is excited to know about. We are planning to release the next honor roll on November 19th. So mark your calendars and be prepared. It's a great opportunity if you're on the honor roll list to, of course, promote that to your school community. And we will be providing you with a toolkit, as we have done in years past, which includes a letter you can send to parents in your school community, social media banners and infographics. We will also provide you with a banner that you can print out and hang up at your school, and a sample press release if you want to reach out to your local media. An additional step that we have taken this year, because we're very interested in, as Jim pointed out, making sure that the recognition is there and making sure that we recognize high performance when it's happening, is we've recruited 25 chambers of commerce across the state to join us in recognizing your performance and recognizing honor roll schools. So we have everything from the Los Angeles Chamber down in the south to the San Francisco Chamber of Commerce up in the north, and a lot of chambers in between, including Fresno, Porterville, and Modesto, who are going to be joining us in recognizing honor roll schools this year. I do want to mention that if you are interested and you don't see your local Chamber of Commerce as part of this group, but you're interested in having them engaged because you want to recognize the schools in your area that are honor roll status, please reach out to us and we can let them know that you would like them to participate. We have reached out to every Chamber of Commerce in the state, but we understand due to scheduling issues or work capacity issues, not every single one of them has been able to get back to us this year. So if you would like to engage with your Chamber of Commerce, please let us know. Or if you have a relationship, please do introduce us and we'll be happy to reach back out to them and see if we can get their engagement. Okay, so now we're going to get into the dashboard. Next slide, please. Okay, so we have updated the honor roll dashboard, and the link is here on the screen. And if we could put that link in the chat as well, thank you, Jacob. You can actually go there live right now if you'd like and navigate that dashboard along with the presentation and tutorial we're about to provide. So we've, at this point, talked about setting the stage for collaboration and improvement, talked about the recognition program. Now I'm going to introduce you to our next presenter, who's going to walk you through how to use this dashboard tool that's been designed to help all of us on this journey. The purpose of this dashboard is really simple but powerful. It allows you to see how your school compares with others in terms of performance on English language arts and math for all grade level serves and for all demographic groups. But it goes beyond just the numbers. By identifying high-performing schools on a variety of metrics, you can connect with them and learn from their best practices and build relationships that's going to help your school reach new heights. So for example, you may be doing really well in math, but you may have a certain group of students who is not doing as well in math. And so you may want to connect with a school that is having more success with this group that's similar to your school and learn about what they're doing. And that's the purpose of these dashboards and these tools, is we've created these to help you identify which schools are like yours and that you can hopefully connect with and exchange practices with. So without further ado, I will go ahead and introduce Kashae Knox, our Director of Outreach and Engagement, who's going to show us how to unlock the potential of this honor roll dashboard. Welcome, Kashae.
Thanks so much, Alex. So I will be walking us through how to navigate the dashboard. Next slide. So hopefully you all can follow along as you're clicking throughout the dashboard, but the first thing you're going to do is start at the home page. And once you get there, you're going to notice that there are selection criteria that you're going to want to choose so that you can view your school's information. So the first thing you'll do is choose your state, then you'll choose your district, and then you'll choose your school. Once you get all that information populated, it's very important that you select the view button so that that new information refreshes and you can see your school's information. Next slide. So once you put in your information and refresh the page, this is what you will see on your screen. So here you will see all of your school's details, the county, the district, education level, award type. And then directly below, you'll see your school's demographic information. So here you can see your school's information, or you can see other schools' information as you're looking at similar schools that are performing where you'd like to improve. And then before we get into the metrics, I do want to highlight that the honor roll dashboard adheres to the privacy requirements requested by the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA, to protect student privacy. This is because FERPA requires data not to be displayed on any metric where the students are less than 10. Instances where there are 10 students, those are removed so that those schools are really showing that information and showing the identification of those students in small groups that have unique characteristics. So now that we're done with the housekeeping, we can go into the achievement snapshot. So the first metric you'll see is what students met or exceeded the state standards in English. If you hover over the bar, you'll see your percentage of students who met or exceeded the standard, and you'll also see that information on your left-hand side. Next slide. So here you'll see the same information for math, so you can also compare how your students are doing in English, how they're doing in math, and then as we roll out the other honor roll list, you'll be able to compare this year by year. Next slide. So here you'll see achievement disaggregated by subgroup. These figures show the percentage of students from various socioeconomic backgrounds who met or exceeded the state standard. So you'll want to hover over these bars if you'd like to see those percentage breakdowns. Again, you can see it on your left-hand side. A cool thing about this metric is you can see directly below the bar graph if you want to deselect or select certain demographic groups. You can deselect some and you can just view Hispanic and Black and see if there's any areas you want to improve for those other demographic groups. You'll also notice that you'll see the same information for math. Again, you'll be able to compare how they're doing in English, how they're doing in math, and then as more years of data come in, you'll be able to compare that year to year. Next slide. So here is kind of what Alex was getting at, which is how does your school compare to other schools? So this shows achievement versus equity in English and achievement versus equity in math. You're going to notice on this dashboard, there's some different shading. So on the left-hand side, you're going to see more darker shading, which are non-awarded schools. The lighter shading are honor roll schools, and the red dot is your school. So the x-axis actually shows the achievement. So you know that you want to be higher on that achievement marker. And then on the y-axis, you'll want to be obviously having no equity gaps. So if your red dot is on that line on the y-axis, that means you have no equity gaps. You're doing a great job across the board. We can go to the next slide. And then this metric takes that a step further by breaking it down by subgroup. So here you'll be able to see each group and how they achieved in both English and math. You'll notice here the shading is the same. So the darker shading are non-awarded schools, the lighter shading are honor roll schools, and the red dot is your school. And here you'll be able to kind of compare across those demographics and see, are my red dots all aligned? Are there areas where we want to get improvement going? You'll also note that there are no red dots on the American Indian or Alaska Native bar, and that is because of FERPA requirements. So because that population is smaller, that information is not going to be displayed. And then directly below, you'll see the same information for men. Next slide. So that is how you review the dashboard. Hopefully you'll be able to kind of follow that tutorial as you're looking at the live dashboard. And hopefully it'll be helpful for you as you're planning, year to year and seeing how you're improving.
Thank you so much, Kashae, for that walk through the dashboard. I really appreciate it. Going back to those dots, something that you really want to pay attention to is if there is a group of students that you want to improve performance on, and you see that there are a lot of dots above your dot, reach out to us. We will let you know who those schools are. We will try to facilitate connections if you're interested in connecting with them. Likewise, if you're really high up on the bar, we also want to learn from you, right? So please reach out to us as well so we can find out what you're doing so that we can get to what Dr. Lanich was saying earlier about replicating best practices across the state. So thank you again, Kashae, for that presentation. Now that we have covered how to navigate the dashboard, our next speaker is going to show us how to do a deeper dive into the data. Some of you are probably wondering, who are these schools that are at the top of the trend line? So specifically, our next speaker will show you how to export data from this dashboard to find schools that are the highest performing on all metrics and demographics. So for example, let's say you are interested in knowing which schools are doing the best at improving English language arts outcomes for African-American students, and that this school is also socioeconomically disadvantaged. Our next speaker, Jacob McCarthy, will show you how you can use the data export in ways that will help you find those schools. Jacob, thank you for joining us today.
Appreciate that. Thanks, Alex, and good afternoon, everyone. So yes, at the bottom of the website, you'll see a link to download the top performers in the state, and we'll show that across categories. I'm going to go ahead and share the file as it looks when it's downloaded. It is an Excel file, and you should see it here momentarily. All right, that Excel file will have 3 tabs at the bottom for elementary, middle, and high school. To note, if you are a K through 8 school, the school can appear in both elementary and middle, and K-12 can appear in all 3 if they are performers for those specific grades for each category. So we're going to go ahead and show an example. Go ahead and for the cohort type, look at just public schools for this one. And when we click on the filter button, select just the option or options you want. We're going to look at a more socially, economically disadvantaged schools. So we're going to select the STAR school. We're going to limit it just to the English language arts. Ignore mathematics for this. And we're going to go ahead and look at the Black African American subgroup. So select just those ones. Here you can see the 10 of the highest performing schools. A couple things to note are it's possible that there are more than 10 schools. There are situations where there's more than a 10-way tie, and we just pulled 10 of those randomly. And if there's less than 10, those are all going to be the highest performing groups. So that is a good way to see the specific schools that are highest performing in a specific subgroup that you're looking for. And so go ahead and switch back to the other screen share. One moment.
Great. Thank you so much, Jacob. Really appreciate you showing us how to really drill down and look into those. So we mentioned collegial exchange of information, and this is where we get to the part this is where we get to the part about how do we do that. So we do want to help connect sister schools together, and we've developed the tools here to help you find those sister schools. And if you're willing to engage in collegial sharing with similar schools, and we know some of you are, for some of you, that's the reason you're here today. Please send an email to Kashae. Her email address is there on the screen, and we can begin to start this process that, as Dr. Lanich pointed out, we know works, right? We know it works really well when educators connect with each other and share information about how to improve student outcomes. Next slide, please. Okay, before we wrap up the webinar and answer any final questions that you may have, we do want to share with you the introduction of a new program here at Educational Results Partnership. We call this Skills Currency, which is an initiative that is creating a common language for students, educators, and employers to make it easier to identify the job skills that are developed through coursework in schools. You notice we partner with a lot of business leaders in the state. They are very interested in knowing that the young people who are in school today are going to have the skills they need to be successful in the workforce and successful in life. And so because these things don't fit naturally together and there's not a common language today on the relationship between classroom learning and the relevance of classroom learning to what employers are looking for, the Skills Currency Initiative is looking to bridge that gap between these two things. So the way we're looking at doing that is unpacking what skills are in academic coursework and translating those into workforce relevant skills so that we can help students see the jobs that they're qualified for. And we're also giving employers insights into the skills that the students have to offer. By linking academic learning with career readiness, this program aims to empower students, educators, and employers to speak the same language around skills and career pathways. This is the direction that the workforce is headed. Again, we partner a lot. We're an employer-led organization, so we partner a lot with business. They are looking for, first and foremost, what skills do students have? So we are currently working on the beta version of this tool, and we encourage any interested educators or employers, if you're on this webinar, to contact us for more information if you'd like to be involved. Together, we know that we can collaborate to help students realize their full potential and also understand the workforce relevance of their academic coursework and why it's so important that they do well in school. We'll go to the next slide here, which is we want to hear your feedback on today's webinar and on the tools that we shared. We have come up with a survey that we would appreciate you to take just a couple minutes to fill out. It has only 5 questions. We want to know specifically, what do you want to see on this dashboard? What is currently there that maybe you would like to see displayed differently? We're looking for any feedback you have to offer because our goal ultimately is for these tools to be useful for you. So please give us your feedback. on today's webinar, and also let us know if you're interested in participating in any of the programs that we described. And I believe we have put a link in the chat to that form. If the barcode doesn't work on your screen, please click on that link that's in the chat to take the survey. Okay, if you have any questions, please reach out to us. We'll go to the last slide here. Our contact information is here. We're happy to answer any questions you have, happy to follow up with you on any programs that you may be interested in partnering with us on. But most importantly, thank you so much for taking the time to be here today. We know some of you just finished wrapping up school, so we know it's the end of the day, and we certainly want to wish you a great evening as you've already gone through a full day today. But as we look ahead, we're reminded of why ERP was founded. It's really to ensure that success in education isn't confined to just a few schools, but that it's shared across all schools. And so we work through this honor roll program in our partnerships with business leaders to make these things happen and to achieve success together. So we're excited about the path forward and remain committed to working with everyone that's here and new relationships and partnerships that we're forming to ensure that every student has the opportunity and the skills they need to succeed in life. So thank you so much again for your continued support and dedication to improving education for all students. And we look forward to connecting with you and seeing you when we release the honor roll for 2024 on November 19th. Thank you so much.